So let's check back in on Liquid Death, and oh boy, does it get worse. Now, if you haven't seen our first video that we've done on Liquid Death, that's more of a sort of in-depth analysis of the brand. This is more of a re-examining this brand, seeing where they are since, a year and somewhat since we've done that video. Here's a video that they produced last year in October, and it is the gayest thing I've ever seen. Literally, I don't think I've seen anything more gay than this. I'm not even going to show you this because it's so graphic, but essentially it has a bunch of like topless dudes, and he's performing, he's sort of simulating homosexual acts with this machine, and then they carry this over to their drinks, and then as you can see, they're just simulating homosexual acts there. So this is like this is like a super gay brand. Doesn't just end there, of course. They released some underwear line, and you have another man groping the private parts of another dude, and they sort of say, oh yes, it's a joke, yeah, it's all real funny here. Here they released a product that symbolizes a glory hole. It's something you would find in an establishment where a lot of homosexuals would frequent. Let's just leave it at that. So here we go. You can get your gay Liquid Death box if you like. So you can recycle your aluminum cans that include a neurotoxin that can pass through the blood-brain barrier. But yeah, there's nothing manly about this brand. Like, check this out.
Can I stick my big can in there?
Is it too big? My mouth hole takes tall boys of all sizes.
Yeah, his mouth takes tall boys. Can I put my can in there? Like, this is literally super homo. Now, one thing you need to understand about marketing is that there's always these things called advertising funnels. And marketing funnels, as you can see here on the right, you have like your lead generation awareness, and then you sort of narrow down the funnel till you get a purchase. So generally you want to start quite broad and then narrow things down. Now, what's interesting is that Liquid Death has now incorporated within this sort of lead generation, the awareness, the higher end of their marketing funnel, messages that target children. And no, I'm not making this up. So as you can see here, educating kids on the dangers of high sugar sodas. As you can see here, this gentleman representing Liquid Death is in a classroom talking to minors. So one thing you understand that with the marketing funnel, that if kids are captured here, they're going to then be pushed down and see their other advertising efforts, which includes such things as homosexual glory holes, videos of men touching the genitals of other men, videos of men simulating homosexual acts. So we have a word for this type of behavior. It's called grooming. So Liquid Death is now grooming kids, right? They are now targeting children and bringing them into their marketing funnel and then directing them towards overtly homosexual acts. Here's a grown-ass man, and he's in a classroom teaching these kids, and he talks about erectile dysfunction.
That overconsumption of sugary drinks can actually cause erectile dysfunction.
What's erectile dysfunction?
I honestly have no idea.
Why have they associated children with erectile dysfunction? That seems kind of weird. But it doesn't end there. Ozzy Osbourne warns kids not to snort Liquid Death. So again, they're targeting children. But here we have another reference to homosexual acts directed towards children.
And don't even think about boofing it, you little perverts.
Boof?
You know, where you stick it up your...
So Liquid Death is now grooming kids. This shouldn't be surprising for a brand that promotes Satanism, because if you go to our website here, theonos.net, and you look up this article, 5 creepy quotes by Satanists, you'll notice that we have 2 quotes here, quote number 3 and quote number 4, that promote this type of grooming behavior towards minors. This is baked into the religion of Satanism. Now, we hear a lot of things that, oh, Liquid Death is just being edgy. Liquid Death is just a joke. Right, well, is grooming children a joke? Would not predators hide behind humor in order to push their desires to sexualize kids? I think so. And you know what? You're not particularly edgy when every major corporation and Western government, through the force of the law, sanctions your ideology, sanctions your worldview, protects it. You're not edgy. You're corporate. You're mainstream. You're not fighting the man. You're in bed with the man, right? Oh, F capitalism, buy our product. All they have to do is put rainbow stuff, and people are like, oh, consume. Now, here in the UK, there's laws that enshrine this religion, this ideology. Notice how religion here is not really protected. Only some religions are protected. Christianity isn't protected. You can mock Christianity, or you can disregard Christianity, because egalitarianism doesn't work. It will always favor one ideology, and secular humanism favors the ideology of secular humanism. Secular humanism favors Satanism, which is what it actually is. So sexual orientation, transgender ideology are sanctioned in our laws. You can be thrown in prison. You can be prosecuted. You can get special favors in society for being part of this religion. We now have blasphemy laws in the UK and Western governments because we have a queer Sharia. We have a type of gayocracy that rules our nation. A society embraces secular humanism, embraces Satanism, and normalizes homosexual acts. Those societies logically will die. They die off because people who embrace homosexual practices cannot and do not reproduce. This was pointed out in a very good way by a gentleman called Andrew of the Crucible when debating an atheist about secular humanism.
That preserving homosexuality in society is good for human flourishing, even though they are reproductive dead ends. And that Western society and egalitarianism is superior to those evil theist society, even though the Western nations can't even reproduce their own populations, but instead have to replace their population with foreigners from those theist nations that can reproduce.
So if more people were to embrace this cancerous ideology, our society would actually die out. The only reason why we don't really feel the effects of our dying societies is because of mass immigration currently. I mean, this is the sign of a dying society, that this isn't sustainable. You cannot act like this. These things can't be encouraged and glorified and promoted for a society to actually grow and flourish. This is the beginning of the end. This means that the nations that embrace this ideology will become extinct. They will be replaced by something else. I, for one, am in my early 30s with 4 children, raising them to be Christian. I'm promoting Christianity to my kids. I'm not allowing the state to indoctrinate them. And you can just tell that these people, they don't have kids. They can only pay children to be in advertisements for them. They're not around children because this ideology doesn't produce anything. It's parasitic. It has to take from others. So it has to take other people's children, people who are having children, sort of kidnap them, bring them over to their ideology. And then that's where they end their dynasty. They end their line of reproduction because they push them towards practices which despise children. You know, the only people I know that have children are around my age in the early 30s are all Christian. It's only Christians having children, Christians and Muslims. So secular humanism is not going to exist in 30 years. It won't be here. It's going to die out. It will only be enforced if they can do so through force and through the schools. And a lot of people are pulling their kids out of schools because the schools now are grooming children, increasingly so-called educating them with more and more gratuitous sexual acts, which is what Liquid Death now is doing. Liquid Death is gay water. If you want to be a gay Satanist, drink Liquid Death. So hide your kids, hide your wife, and always remember, folks, that magic is heresy. If you're interested in a deeper analysis on the religion of progress, the religion of woke, then check out the interview we did with Frank Wright, who's a UK journalist, and we get really into the weeds of this topic there.